What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future-free state of Greater Idaho, where I almost had to shoot somebody this week. I am the one-armed madman, and from the Badlands of southern Montana, it's Nolan 5150. Nolan, how we doing, my man?
Oh man, it's I think we should talk about Wi-Fi internet connections for a minute.
Oh my God, this has been a freaking nightmare. So my internet went out 2 or 3 days ago, and I spent an hour and a half on the phone one night troubleshooting with these people, trying to figure out if it was my modem or my router. The router people are telling me it's the modem people are telling me it's the router. And nobody is willing to tell me anything except try this, unplug this, plug this into that. Can you get a new Ethernet cable? Maybe your adapter's not working. Let's troubleshoot the adapter. And this goes on and on and on, so that I finally get the thing working at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I text Nolan. I'm like, hey, we're on tomorrow. I got internet. We're good to go. The next morning I wake up and the fucking internet's off again.
And that's what I say. It's like airline employees. The engine's blown up, but they're just going to wait for. They're waiting for a steward. That's why the plane's on, right?
So I decided at this point, I was like, I can't spend another hour on the phone with these people again today to try and figure out what the fuck is wrong with this thing. So I decide, fuck it, I'm gonna go and buy all new equipment and just get rid of the problem. So I go down to Walmart, and Walmart doesn't have a shit worth of a selection. There's nothing there. Everything's like $200, $300, and they're not even as geared for as high speed as the router or modem that I have. So I decide, fuck it, I'm going to go to Best Buy. So I go home, drop the dog off because I got the dog with me, head to Best Buy, and these are on complete opposite ends of town. So I'm driving all over the fucking place. I go to Best Buy and I buy this new $200 machine. All right, I'm good. And as I'm leaving, I go, you know what? I've been wanting to do this boots on the ground report for No Agenda for a couple weeks. So I decided to drive out to the Let's Go Brandon billboard that's on Highway 84. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I went and took some pictures of it, and I sent out an email to the company today. I found out that it's a storage company, and this billboard, just so everybody knows, and I'll put the picture up on it. Maybe this will be the thumbnail for the episode. There's a billboard off the side of the highway, and from Boise to Ontario, it's like 80 miles. I've driven this stretch many times lately. And in that stretch, there is not one billboard that is not full of advertising. Every billboard is always full. There's not one empty one. And then you come to this one, and it's spray paint graffiti. Let's go, Brandon.
So you found out the business?
Yeah. So it's a sign for a storage unit company, and they on their website they had an email spot. So I sent him an email going, hey, what's up with this? What I gave him like the whole deal. I'm like, I'm the host of this podcast. I'm producing for this podcast. We're doing a story on this as a reaction story to a billboard that was hung in San Francisco that said, don't move to Texas. So this one was I felt it was a good follow-up story. You've got in San Francisco, don't move to Texas. You've got in Idaho, let's go, Brandon. And my thought with this thing is if it's so easy to sell advertisement on this highway, these people are letting it go. So I asked them a bunch of questions in the email. I'm like, hey, what's up with this thing? Do you guys have takers for ad space? How much does it cost? Do you condemn or condone the sign? So what's going on with this thing? Let's hear the story.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. Is it like owned by the storage company, and they are literally just either they're not selling the space and using it for that, or are they paying for the billboard? They're
not paying for the billboard. It's their billboard, but they're sacrificing ad space to have it there. And it's been there for like 6 months. So it's not like this thing just went up a couple weeks ago and they haven't had a chance to go up there and spray paint over it or hang a sign over it. On the back side of the sign, they have an advertisement for their business. So they haven't even thought to go up there and hang another advertisement for their business. So my thought is they're cool with it.
They have to be. I saw some video about you go on Google Earth and then you zoom in like in the middle of, I don't even know, like Nebraska or something, and there's some cornfield that some farmer cut the corn down and it says fuck Biden or something like that.
Yeah, dude, we've got people around here that have gotten their entire barns painted like "Let's Go Brandon" and shit like that. There's another spot on Google Earth. They took it down already, but you remember when Biden fell on the bicycle?
Yeah.
Somebody pinned that spot a historical monument and called it Brandon Falls. And then they pinned a fake bike shop at that location. And I have them somewhere. I screenshotted the comments, but like people were doing reviews for the bike shop and they were just out of control. It was great. The internet is undefeated and always will be. Oh, and speaking of the internet being undefeated, how about those pictures of Biden today?
Cue the Darth Vader music.
Holy shit. What did you think about that?
That exactly. I heard the dong, 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 da, da.
Dude. So my thought with this is like they're pulling a move. Like they know they're fucking losing bad in the polls. And this is how out of touch I think they are. And, I could be wrong, but I think this is pretty fucking close to what's happening. They're looking at the MAGA people as, being a threat to their reign, which they are. And their thought is Trump is a dictator. They've always been hard on Trump is a dictator. Even though he's not in office, he's still a dictator. Now they're trying to push on this fascism, semi-fascism thing. And this is just, buzzwords that get Democrats a little chubby. And my thought is that they're going, why do they like Trump so much? He's a dictator. He's this strong man. That's what they're attracted to. So we've given them this Biden, the kind, loving grandpa, the unity guy. Let's come together. Let's give him some strong man and see if that'll bring him around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Strategic. You make him seem like he actually has a terror involved.
Yeah. It's weird. They think like maybe if he goes and declares a war or something that they were going to give. I think that was another thing that they thought was going to happen too was, hey, he's going to go hard at Ukraine and they're going to look at him as this strong man and want to back him. And they're just so out of touch. They have no fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. But you can never underestimate the ability of people to just follow, just blind. Like, it doesn't matter what they hear. They're just like, oh, what? Distracted dog with the squirrel.
Yeah.
So there's always the people that are going to follow whatever.
Yeah, and they count on the people who aren't plugged into this shit and watching it 24/7 like I am. They're counting on the people who tune in every once in a while when Biden has a big televised speech that's planned in advance, which this was. So they know, hey, a lot of these people that we're going to catch eyeballs are people that are not going to be watching. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't really care. All they know is Orange Man bad, so let's give them something to give them a little chubby. Or Trump has some really good spies in the Biden administration, and they're just sabotaging him in ways that nobody thought was possible.
Yeah, I can't see, I don't believe every single thing that I see from any outlet, but I can't see how people can have witnessed his presidency from the beginning to now and just blindly follow some narrative like this, like, oh, now he's strong. He's a strong leader.
It's Orange Man bad. That's all they need to know. Orange Man bad, Biden good. Biden is going to lead us to equality and fucking all that other bullshit that they like. Trump's going to take away your right to choose. He's going to blah, 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 blah. It's really I think you could boil it all down to Orange Man bad, and you're either with that phrase or against that phrase. MAGA good, you're either in or out. I have, on social media, I'll post things making fun of Joe Biden, and it's just like, oh, you fucking MAGA people are all the same. And it's like, dude, scroll down. Take a look. It's not so fucking one-sided, and they're just so ingrained into this fucking winner takes all every 4 years battle that they look at anybody who is poking fun, even just poking fun at your guy, as a threat to their democracy and the way that they think America should be.
Yeah, well, they got to keep everybody volatile, like just on a short trigger, no matter what side you're on. That's the ultimate goal, to keep people just ready to snap at other people's throats just because it's like.
Yeah, they want good, docile progressives that are willing to take whatever line of bullshit we feed them.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and so I almost forgot. Yeah, I had to pull a gun on somebody this week. I'm in my house. My mom's over here, and we're just fucking around doing something, and all of a sudden I hear skidding and crash. I go, holy shit! Somebody just crashed, and my road is closed down right now. They're doing a roundabout up the street. They stole some people's property, and now they're putting a roundabout in. And anyways, this car just fucking goes crashing through these things, and it's sitting in my neighbor's field. I go, holy shit. And I start going out there. I get out through the front door, and all of a sudden I hear my neighbor screaming and yelling, hey, get the fuck out of the car. What the fuck are you doing? And I go, holy shit. And I flip a bitch and run right back into my office and grab my gun and just go hauling ass out there. And it turned out it was just some fucking kid. You can see it's big orange barrels and a road closure sign. It's a straight road for a mile, and he just goes barreling through this at 65 miles an hour. Cops let him drive his fucking car home. Wild.
That's crazy. He wasn't, I'm assuming, I guess he wasn't drunk or anything? He wasn't stoned?
I guess not. My neighbor goes, what the fuck are you thinking? He goes, I'm retarded. He goes, no shit.
Oh, man.
It was fucking wild. Aside from that, it's been a really freaking, it's been a rough week here at the Meyer compound. So you remember I texted you a couple weeks back. I got paranoid and almost cut my plants.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I did it.
Oh, man.
They're fucking gone. It was this tenant that I had renting from me. I should have just left the room open or waited until I had somebody I trusted better, but I'm always so fucking focused in the right here, right now, that it was just take the money. It's here. This kid's willing to pay $100 more than the last guy was. And turned out this kid was 17. His parents were super fucking religious, and he kept going out into my backyard while I was working on my plants. So I know he fucking saw them, and I don't know if he even knows what they are. But I do know for a fact that he had no clue what the implications of like telling somebody would be, telling his parents.
Yeah.
And then his parents tells, some cop that they go to church with. And, I just couldn't trust him, even if I talked to him about it and be like, hey, look, man, you got to keep this shit quiet. I'll give you a deal on your rent when it's all finished. Just keep it to yourself. I still couldn't trust that he hadn't already talked or wouldn't talk. Yeah. And then literally like 2 days after I cut him, he crashes his car and he moves the fuck out.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So if he did tell somebody, if his parents did know about it and they were waiting for him to move out to say something, there you go. And then then there was always the thought, like, maybe whatever cop they send this year will be smarter than the last one they sent, and he'll wait for them to mature and actually have flower on them. Because the first time they raided me, the plants they weren't even close to bud yet. I think it was in like the first week of July or something like that. So, I mean, it was literally months before they had buds on them. But, it just takes, maybe even the same cop goes, I'm not going to fucking, make that mistake again and get there early. So, it was a calculated decision. I had to cut them. I had to cut them.
Bad choice.
Do you have access to your Instagram on your phone right now, or is it out because of the phone call we're doing?
As long as I don't play any video.
I'm gonna send you a picture on Instagram. This was a sign at the fucking Black Crowes concert that I went to last week, set up right next to the fucking food trucks. They had a "Get your vaccines here right now" big old sign, and it's got a guitar that's got a syringe as the neck, and it says "Rock the shot."
Yeah, that graphic is disturbing.
It's horrifying, right?
Yeah.
Dude, and this was the wokest place in fucking Boise. As we're going, I went with my mom. It's her favorite band, so I went with her. And as we're going, there's bicycles just like crazy heading to this place. We're like, what the fuck is going on with all the bicycles? And then some lady gets up there and she starts giving everybody this big long fucking sermon about climate change and how we have to do our parts, and that's why we have you all ride bikes here, and who rode their bikes here to save the planet, and everybody's yay, we did. And it was just so fucking pathetic.
Yeah, ride your bike for a day. That's really gonna do it.
I know. It's one of these things, though, where, like, at least you can kind of give them a little bit of credit for doing something instead of just going up there and giving you a long sermon about climate change and then peeling back and not actually do anything. She also gave this long speech about how you had to have water and drink water and drink water, drink water, drink water. And they were charging like $5 a bottle for water. Fucking cunt.
Yeah.
How's that for saving the planet?
And it was probably what the shitty like gas station taste of water.
I know.
Tap water.
Yeah, there was water set up by the porta potties in one of those like Porto hand washing things, and I saw people filling their water bottles up in them. I was like, oh man, what are you thinking? You're gonna get some crazy fucking bacteria. Yeah,
that's probably like unsanitized recycled water that they drain all the shit out of the blue water.
Yeah.
Put it in the hand.
Who knows? But it was a good concert anyways. They sounded great. I mean, who would know that they're in their 50s at this point? They sounded great. Well,
right on.
Aside from that, let's get into the news for the week. So I did a little bit of digging into a couple things, but we're going to learn a couple things here. We're going to talk about climate change, but we're going to do it by going through this. Oh man, am I on the wrong page? What am I doing? Okay. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to go through this Washington Post article about how the Inflation Reduction Act is going to help you. But just to start this off, let's listen to this video about how inflation is time theft.
Imagine buying a brand new house for $12,000. That's what it costed in 1959. Now, before you get mad and say that doesn't make sense because wages have also gone up since 1959, I got a spreadsheet for you. So average income in 1959 was $5,000. Average income in 2022 is $51,000. So that's 1,000% increase, not bad. A new house in 1959 cost $12,000. In 2022, $453,000.
That's my house.
3,658% increase. If you could save your entire income, it would have taken you 2.4 years to save for a new house in 1959. In 2022, it takes almost 9 years. Essentially,
my mom bought a house when she was a senior in high school.
Longer than people in 1959. Or in other words, work 3.5 times harder. It's the same story with cars and rent. But what really baffled me was tuition to Harvard. In 1959, it cost $1,250 for tuition. In 2022, $52,000. That's a 4,000% increase. which equates to 4 times more expensive after adjusting for modern incomes. Inflation is literally time theft.
They're stealing your time. I thought that was a really good breakdown. That's a better breakdown of inflation than I could ever do. You know, when I bought this house, I paid $218,000 for it. Now it's worth $400,000. It was over $540,000 at one point this last year. That's an insane hike. How are you going to expect kids, the 17-year-old that just moved out of my house, how is he ever going to save to buy a house when he's working at Idaho Pizza making $14 an hour? I tried to explain inflation to him. I'm like, hey man, these people are ripping you off. You're making the same today that you were making 2 years ago when you started working there. You got to tell them they're stealing from you. Everything costs more. You're paying me the same. So he comes back and he goes, I told them what you said. And they were like, yeah, you're right. We'll give you a raise. And I'm like, see, dummy, you can't just wait for them to ask, you know?
Yeah.
And then I tried to break it down. I said, how much did they give you? And he tells me, and I go, oh, well, that's only an 8% increase in pay. The official inflation percent is over 8%. It's probably closer to 15 or 20. You got to tell these people that now they're shortchanging you. And you just watch the fucking Tweety birds go around and just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, he's like, they're so out of it. They go, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just work. I'll just accept the raise.
Yeah. That's, I feel like in certain jobs like that, you just gotta be willing to jump around.
Oh, you gotta leave.
Seems like, yeah. You gotta press the issue, but I feel like most employers are, it's that mentality. Everybody's replaceable, which in a lot of times they are, but you find out what your worth or your value is to the company when you demand more. So
I had a big mean Hawaiian boss when I worked at Moose McGillicuddy's in Lahaina, and when you first get a job there, he sits you down and he gives you the talk. He goes, all right, you make one mistake, you come into the office. You don't want to go into the office. You make a second mistake, we go to the freezer. You definitely don't want to go to the freezer. Third mistake, we go to the parking lot. And brother, if we go to the parking lot, you don't come back. But this guy, he had a stack of resumes and he kept them on the door of his office just to let you know that you are replaceable. There are hundreds of resumes coming in here a week, and every one of them would kill to work at this place. And it kept you in line. You appreciated your job there. That place more than any, I appreciated the job that I was given. A lot of times you work at a place and you start thinking that they owe you and that you create so much value for them, and a lot of times that's not the case. And this is a huge problem in bartending, in restaurants, and a lot of these mid-level jobs. And it's a piece of advice that I always try to give to young people is don't get stuck in a job. You get these jobs and then you get afraid to go look for something better. And then you get stuck in this job for 5 years. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to get too old to go to college. And then another 5 years go by and it's, I'm getting too old to learn a trade. And by the time you're 35 years old, then you're stuck in this fucking job forever. And you can't get out. You have no upward mobility. You're never going to own a house. You're never going to be a presentable mate to a decent woman. You're always just going to be the bartender. And hey, the bartender is a fun guy. Chicks hook up with him. People love to party with him. But the bartender isn't the guy who has the nice family and the nice house and the boat and the motorcycles. That's for the guy working at line departments or the master tech mechanic at a Harley dealership. Those are real jobs. These are careers. And these are trades. There's a huge difference between a trade and a job. And this is one of the huge problems with college. And we're going to get into college right now. They relieved college debt this week. And it's a laughable amount, $10,000. And these are going to be to upward mobility class people. And, schmucks like you and me are going to have to pay for it. But the problem, like he said, how much college went up over this time. And the reason college went up is because the government is guaranteeing loans for people to go to these colleges. So if the college has guaranteed student enrollment, They have guaranteed income. They start jacking the price up. Why wouldn't you? If you have guaranteed buyers, and they're not, the students aren't the only ones in debt. These colleges are in debt. Once they start getting guaranteed money from students, then they start building new buildings and dorm rooms. And, they built an alumni building at Boise State. They paid like $2 million for it. This is for alumni, people who have already graduated from the school. I did the math, and you could pay for a year of tuition at Boise State for every high school senior in the state with $2 million.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good use of funds.
But they want a place for their alumni to be able to hang out and party at football games. That's what it's for.
Yeah. Yeah, they start taking that money, and then they start rubbing elbows and getting invited to private parties on islands and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then you run into the science funding problem, like we're seeing with vaccines. And, vaccine epidemiology becomes the most important thing. More people jump into that business. It gets more funding. And then we get a super fucking COVID 2 years down the line because these people are slicing and dicing on viruses all day long. And there's guaranteed funding for it. And then you run into the problem that I'm having in a lot of my classes. A couple of my classes are pretty fucking hard right now, and I can't cheat in them, which is really a bummer. But I had a question this week in my environment. I've had 2 classes on climate change now, and I'm a business major. What the fuck? Like, this should be – I've learned more about climate change than economics. I'm not fucking kidding. And I haven't learned anything about climate change because I know more about climate change than these fucking classes are teaching. But I had a question this week that came up. It's a matching question. So you have to match the term to its vocabulary. You just pull the box up to one. So it says, water often changes among 3 phases of matter. Match the form of water with the general name of that phase. Water, liquid. Water, vapor. Gas. Ice, solid. I mean, we learned this stuff in like the 2nd grade.
Is that going to be on the midterm?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, isn't that wild though? It's like hard to even say something to that in response because it's like these are supposed to be the smartest people, and you're teaching this to. I'm 30 years old. I'm 36 years old. It's a real fucking nightmare. You can't send your kids to school. I mean, I wish there was something that I could say that is helping me or would help me further my life from this school, but it's not. I'm using it to sit at home. Like, that's the only reason I'm doing this school is because it allowed me to sit at home for longer. Hey.
Yeah. I really can't believe that like you were saying, that's so kind of mind numbing that literally it's like a scene out of Idiocracy.
Yes.
So childish.
And this is because everybody can get into college at this point. The smartest kids go off to Harvard and whatever, and Yale and the Ivy League schools. The mid-levels go to the state universities, and then the fucking midwits go to the college that I go to, CWI. That's main campus is in the same parking lot as a Walmart. And it's fitting because they're training the future managers of Walmart right next door to the Walmart. I mean, talk about efficiency, right?
Yeah. I wonder if Walmart has a deal with them. Doesn't Walmart do tuition reimbursement or something like that?
You would think.
But you gotta go to the college in the parking lot.
If we had school choice and you were allowed to choose where your money for your kids went, we would have charter schools all over the place. Walmart could open their own school for, 16 to 20-year-olds, and they could say, hey, you come in here, we're going to test you for the first couple of years, we're going to see what you're good at, and by the time you get out of here, you're going to have a career. And it would be like that for everyone. Idaho Power, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson could have a school in Montana and go, hey, you want to work on motorcycles? Come to our fucking school, man. We'll teach you as a kid.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what the trade and even my experience in motorcycle shops. That's kind of how it already is. Like, unless you go to MMI and spend all that money, you do what I did. I got hired at the shop to polish bikes and deliver bikes, and then bust my ass, got tested, proved myself, and then they invested money into me to send me to school, factory training.
My point is, though, that you would have been able to, had the choice in high school, you may have chosen to go to a Harley Davidson school at 16 instead of having to wait until you graduate high school and then go to a trade school. They should be training kids from 14 up. I mean, at 14, you've got a pretty good idea of what you want to do with your life, at least a general idea. So you can go to a school that's going to promote trades, or you can go to a school that's going to teach you more math.
That's good. At least,
or video games.
At least have a head start on trying different things before you're fucking 30, and you can at least try some shit out. And if you don't like it, switch jobs or whatever while you're still under 18.
Yeah, and it's amazing that
you narrow it down.
And it's amazing that we don't have individualized learning. I mean, with the way technology is, everybody's learning the same thing at the speed of the slowest kid. Why aren't we learning in a more acute way? I mean, we should be able to focus our learning. And I mean, they break us down into classes, but then you're still in the class with the slowest kid who probably doesn't speak English. No knock on them. It's just, they slow it the fuck down. I mean, just so people can have a little bit of an idea of how the public school system works, you were in the gifted classes and they were trying to shove me in the remedial classes. And I mean, I'm not, a smart guy. I'm not an idiot either, but the fact that they would have you and me so farly removed from the same curriculum is crazy.
Yeah. That, I don't even know how I don't even remember how they did that shit.
Oh, I do, because when they're trying to stick you in the remedial classes, it pisses you off.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember you and Phil Merrill, where you guys were in the it was like a class system in a lot of ways, not just classes, but a class system. You guys were the upper class, you were the nobility, and we were the piss-ons that got the scraps, essentially. That's how it made me feel as a young kid. Imagine how it makes people feel now when they're not just breaking you up by how smart you are. They're breaking you up by skin color and gender and whatever, thing you think you are today. They're just separating people further and further and further. In high school, we had cliques, and it was worse down in like grammar school. As we got into high school, it kind of broadened and everybody, kind of united over alcohol and marijuana. But now they're just doing their best to separate people even further. Okay, you're the L, you're over there. You're the G, you're there. You're the B. And they just keep sectioning people off. You don't believe in any of that shit. You people are evil and you should die and stay over there at lunch because you're a danger to the rest of us. That kid that was living here told me that at work, they were split up like that at work politically. Everybody knew who everybody was voting for politically, and they all kept to themselves. How fucking...
At the pizza place?
At the pizza place. How fucking toxic is that?
Yeah, that's terrible. I can see what you're saying about separation and stuff. I can totally see how it could make you feel. Honestly, I probably having to do with my childhood, I never had like that opinion of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You wouldn't.
But
that's the point of it.
Yeah.
That's the point of it, is to separate you at a young age and make you think that you're the same as everybody else while also keeping you separate. And they want to groom you to be the good progressives who then go into the Ivy League schools and take over and, shape society from central planning. That's the plan for all of us. It's just which role can you fit and how can we groom you best to fit that role? Because they need all the midwits to do the menial Walmart jobs, and they need the people like me who are willing to blow themselves up to power their tyrannical fucking government.
Are you saying you got MK Ultra?
Maybe. I've taken a lot of hallucinogens. Alex Jones says, "Don't take the DMT." All right, let's get into this. Washington Post article. This is a fun one. I didn't even finish reading it because by the time I got to the end of it, it was just too good. I had to save it. So, all right, let's listen to me struggle at reading out loud. The Inflation Reduction Act is Congress's latest effort to usher in a new era of greener climate change policy. But for millions of Americans, the bill could mean big savings when making big-ticket green purchases, as well as low energy and health care costs and even faster tax filings. Oh, my goodness. So for your billions of dollars, you're going to get a whole bunch of good stuff. And you're going to have to spend a lot of money to do it. But that's okay. Although President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act on Tuesday, most Americans won't see any money saved, including on inflation, despite the bill's name, anytime soon. So they're kind of right out coming and saying that, like, yeah, this bill has nothing to do with inflation. That's just the name. This is a fucking climate bill, plain and simple. Like, this is again.
What they always do. They always just put some cute little name on whatever it is, and then it ends up being having nothing to do with it. What was it? The Obama Healthcare Act? I don't even remember what the fuck it was.
Obamacare or some shit. Yeah,
whatever it was. Weren't they saying you gotta pass it to find out what's in it?
Yeah, exactly.
That shit.
Yep, you gotta pass it, find out what's in it. He's the fucking worst, man. That guy is so fucking drunk on power. It is just insane. Every time I see him in a room, you can tell he just fucking thinks he's a god. The way he walks around, the way he like points at people, and he reminds me of like a LeBron James, except without all the fucking skill. Like, he's got all the charisma in the world, but he doesn't really have the skill. You know what I mean? It's like watching a fucking white guy try and dribble good. Well,
hey man, I used to have some handles.
Yeah. All right, let's finish up with let's keep going and see what these monsters have in store for us. Champions of the sprawling law say it will improve America's finances while reducing the federal deficit by $300 billion. No, it won't. Critics say that it will lead to higher prices, particularly from corporations, and will be ineffective in bringing down decades-high inflation. Of course it will. It's a spending bill. You cannot reduce inflation by spending more money. It's counterlogical. It's a pit. All right. Quote, broadly speaking, this is a bill with a lot of elements, said Mark Godwin, senior president of the... Okay, here we go. Screw this guy. Let's go. Here's a look at the Inflation Reduction Act, at how the Inflation Reduction Act could affect finances with your family and the future. Number one, lower energy costs. Here we go. Lawmakers' top goal was to create a new framework paving the way for more clean and sustainable energy sources. To that end, it includes $80 billion in rebates, including as much as $14,000 money back, helping households pay for green energy updates. Subsidies cover a range of improvements, including efficient heat pumps, $8,000 back per household, electric water heaters, $1,700 back per household, and electric cooktops, $840 back per household. Yeah, so you go out and you buy a $40,000 heat pump, and you get $8,000 back, if you even qualify for it, because not everybody's going to, of course. So let's learn a little bit about heat pumps and gas and electric stoves. So gas and electric stoves. So this is going to be like when they say an electric stove, yeah, it'll be more efficient than a gas stove that's like 30 years old, or maybe an air conditioner that's 30 years old. But gas appliances are way more efficient, and gas is far cheaper than electricity. So consider the state of California. This is from the Institute for Energy Research. Consider California the state at the forefront of the natural gas hookup bans. Last year, the average price of natural gas in California was about $12.30 per million British thermal units, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. For a homeowner with a new 95% efficiency gas furnace or water heater, that translates to a cost of under $13 per BTU. Compare that with the cost of electricity, which averaged at $18.84 per kilowatt hour in California in 2008, about 50% higher than the national average. That works out to $55 per million BTUs, more than 4 times the cost of natural gas. Even heat pumps for sparse and water heating can't bridge the gap. So they're going to get you to spend $40,000 on this incredibly intricate machine that is probably going to break down, and in a place like yours, may let you freeze to death.
Yeah.
So, does that sound like something you're interested in?
No, not really.
All right, so let's. I've got this quick YouTube video to tell us a little bit about heat pumps. This is like and by the way, this is like an animated thing. It's got some fucking creepy ginger, very creepy. But anyways, let's go.
Your typical air source heat pump, like this mini split system, has 2 main components, an indoor and an outdoor unit, which are connected by a refrigerant line. To heat your home in the winter, the outdoor unit pulls heat from the air outside your home. Yes, believe it or not, even when it's cold, outside air still contains a certain amount of heat.
What the fuck is that?
Warm air then goes through a refrigerant coolant that is compressed to increase the temperature even more. This warm air is then pushed through to the home. In the summer, to cool your home, the process is reversed. The heat pump absorbs the warm air in your home and transfers it outside.
I bet
the
that
compressor circulates refrigerant to the indoor evaporator coil, and the refrigerant absorbs heat as it passes over the indoor air. The resulting cool and dehumidified air then gets blown back into the home.
Cool.
And that's how a heat pump works. The key here is that heat pumps don't generate heat, but instead they move it from one place to another, which is why heat pumps are so energy efficient. In fact, a heat pump can be up to 300% more efficient than electric baseboards. So if you already have electric heat, a heat pump can help you save on your energy bill.
Yeah,
less
not as much as gas.
More savings. I like.
Oh, and now he's got a pina colada.
If you're switching from a fossil fuel-based heating source like a natural gas furnace, you'll be reducing your carbon footprint. It's kind of like going from a size 18 down to a size 2.
Is what this ginger neglects to mention is the source of the generated electricity. If you're living in a place like Virginia, coal country, where you're burning coal for your energy, why would you switch from a natural gas heating and air conditioning unit, if you've got the option for that, to an electric heat pump that won't even work, probably going to break down, cost you $40,000, and they're just going to...
Well, you can recycle it after it breaks down.
Yeah, and I mean, if you had natural gas, the option for natural gas, your carbon footprint would be far less than running this heat pump 24/7 to try and keep your place cool or warm, and you're just essentially an exhaust pipe for coal. You're just burning more coal. You're not even an exhaust pipe, actually. You're just an extension of coal. Every time you turn that dial, you're just dumping more coal into the burner.
All I could think about the whole time was you've seen those like late night TV ads for the Amish.
Exactly.
It's like just magically it's warm or something.
Yeah, you get this you get the silver colloidal toothpaste and it'll knock COVID right out of your system. It sounds exactly like an infomercial. You're right. It had that cadence. It had that talking down that aspect.
Not only does it turn cool into heat, it turns heat into cool.
Yeah, if you thought you had a size 12 foot, now you're going to have a size 8. Just call now. But wait, as a bonus, we're going to throw in a pina colada. And I was looking into other videos. I was trying to clip this one video on YouTube. This guy just eviscerated these things and had like 1 million views, but it was a great video in its own right, and it wasn't like clip worthy. But I mean, looking at the pictures of these things, they've got valves and reducers and different sight glasses, and you've got to have all of this quiet insulation around these pipes to keep them cool or warm, and these things are making noise. And you got to have a radiator in every room of your fucking house. They don't have vents. They push air across these radiators, and then the radiators, heat up the room from the wall or something like that. See, not only do you got a mess of pipes underneath your house, you've got a radiator on every fucking wall in your home.
So, and it was saying it's like 300 times more efficient than a floorboard heater.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So hear me out here. So what if you buy one of these heat pumps, and then you just run your heater, but you put the heat pump right on top of the vent in the summer, so then it turns your house hot air into cool air, right? Isn't that the way it said it was?
Well, the deal is you shouldn't be running both of them at the same time. And if you bought a heat,
but what if you want to supercharge it?
Knock yourself out. If you got $40,000 to try it out, knock yourself out. Yeah, I think that these heat pumps are going to be the next solar panel thing. I think we're going to get people knocking on our doors. Hey, have you heard about heat pumps? We sell heat pumps, and, heat pumps are great for the environment, and they're going to save you money in the long run, and blah, 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 blah. We'll suck your dick if you hang one up on your house. I swear to God.
Yeah, that sounds like the whole electric car thing all over again.
Yeah, I mean, when you have this big boom of, like, government money in subsidies, businesses are just going to go for it. They're going to go, hey, look, I can start a business for next to nothing, and then use all these government subsidies to shake people down and con them into buying these fucking things. I don't know about you, but we don't get very many ads for solar panels anymore. Like, Idaho Power still pays for energy from them around here, but a lot of places don't anymore because they just can't handle the intermittence of it.
Yeah, I haven't honestly seen that much. I want to say, wasn't the whole government rebate program ending?
That's my thought. Is there's the money's probably dried up.
Yeah,
without all the subsidies.
Yep, and I also heard something about the power companies like being able to charge you for the energy that you are gathering off of your solar panels on the roof of your house or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know for sure, but
they don't. Most places the whole draw for them. The whole selling point was, hey, you can buy these solar panels. They'll pay themselves off in 30 years, and you'll be able to sell energy back to the grid. And by the time, you sell the house, you'll have profited another $30,000. Problem is, these things don't last that long. So by the time they even come close to paying themselves off, you don't have any. And my house, I don't even have any south-facing roof to have them on. So people show up. I've had a couple people show up here, and I never have the foresight to fuck with these people. I always my go-to is just get the fuck off my porch, you fucking scum. So I never get the chance to fuck with these people and ask them hey man, where are you planning on putting these things? Are you just going to rip me off and put them on a north-facing roof side? I mean, I guarantee these people would do that if
for sure.
They'd show up to my grandmother's place and say, oh yeah, we can put them in, and here's $8-10,000, and then they're in the shade half the time.
Yeah.
But I
probably definitely don't do their due diligence, and they don't give a fuck. It's just about cashing in those subsidies.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these people had good intentions with buying these solar panels. Oh, I'm going to do my part to save the planet. But after a while, I mean, I've heard stats before about people that don't buy new solar panels after their first ones. Hardly anybody replaces their old panels. By the time they're worn out, people are like, fuck this. This is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and not worth it, right? And I'm sure replacing it is what?
Yeah.
10 times more expensive than the initial installation.
Yeah. And, they're still saying that they're getting 30% tax credits for installing solar panels in this article. So, it's one of these deals where who knows how long these industries can last for, but I sure as shit don't see any solar panels in my neighborhood. I don't know anybody. I've never met anybody who's bought them before.
Yeah. I've seen some. I can't say that I know anybody that has solar panels on the roof, honestly.
Oh. All right, let's continue with this article. The new round of green energy incentives includes much hyped $7,500 tax credit for people who buy electric vehicles beginning next year. Yay! Woo! Tax credit on the Tesla. Quote, the direct benefits won't be immediate, but there is a lot here. Standing in savings and purchasing an electric vehicle, said William Hogard, Senior Vice President of the Bipartisan Policy Center. Yeah, I'm sure it's bipartisan. All right. So I did some digging into this, and it turns out that it's not as great as you would think, believe it or not. Oh, wait, that means I'm on the wrong slide. I got to go to slide 2. Here we go. I'm finally figuring out my slide setup so I can go through my shit and not get lost. That was the biggest problem I had in that interview that I did was I kept losing my place, and I'm trying to pay attention to him talking, and I'm scrolling through this shit, and by the time it would be my turn to talking, and I'd just fucking go on whatever was happening. So it wasn't really much of an interview. I called it an interview, but it wasn't. It was more of a conversation than an interview. All right, so let's go to Reuters. Let's go to Reuters. So this is in Reuters on August 3rd. The Congressional Budget Office estimates said that the electric vehicle tax credit is a $430 billion in a $430 billion energy bill would cost taxpayers only $85 million in 2023, the equivalent of about 11,000 vehicles if all received the $7,500 credit. So they're only giving it out to 11,000 vehicles. This whole big thing, you're going to buy an electric car, we're going to give you money back for it. We're going to outlaw cars in California in 2035, but only 11,000 of you are going to get it. And that was on August 3rd. That was when the bill was $430 billion. Now I believe it is $730 billion. So it got almost doubled. So here's Reuters on August 15th. So literally 12 days later, an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office forecasts 11,000 new EVs will receive tax credits in 2023, assuming $7,500 per vehicle, $85 billion to taxpayers in 2023. So they didn't update. I messed it up. They didn't in that article. They didn't add the end part where it said it would cost $85 million in 2023. They omitted that part. So they doubled the bill. It would then cost $85 billion. $170 billion. So I guess $170 million didn't sound good enough to add to this article. So they just went ahead and omitted it. Boy, I really butchered that one. That's what I get for fucking making my notes. So this has happened to me a couple times now where I've started making the notes for this show 3 weeks ago. And then I did the Eric Jackman episodes and we didn't record last week. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and I just keep adding shit to it and then I can't, that's not going to work. I can't fit that anymore. And shit just keeps happening. So this has gotten a little bit out of control, but let's go to our home state of California and see what's happening with cars.
Today, regulators in California are expected to approve new rules that will ultimately ban the sale of gas-powered cars in the state by 2035.
This is really important for reducing climate changing emissions. I mean, simply put, we can't address climate change without addressing transportation emissions. It's the largest source of emissions in California.
The new rules will require 35% of new cars sold by 2026 to produce zero emissions. That number climbs to 68% by 2030. And by 2035, all new cars sold in California must be free of greenhouse gas emissions.
Having this standard means that automakers are going to have to make more electric vehicles. That means more models in different sizes and different price points.
Supporters call this a major step in the nation's transition to electric vehicles. Not only is California the largest auto market in the U.S., but more than a dozen states typically follow California's lead on setting emission standards.
So right now, about one-third of the new car market is covered by California's clean car rules. And we expect that other states will adopt these California standards.
I'm sure they will.
But the rules could face legal challenges. The Biden administration granted California a waiver that allows the state to adopt emission rules stricter than federal standards. But 17 Republican-led states are now challenging that waiver in court.
So what does that remind you of? A little bit of a CARB strikes back? You know, the Empire strikes back, CARB strikes again. They're allowing they're allowing loopholes. Now this, as soon as I heard that, I go, oh, YZM 400. Oh, you've got a bike that's going to be good for climate change? Yeah, we'll fucking throw all the rules in the garbage and let you race this fucking airplane for a year and destroy everybody. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, the CARB strikes back.
CARB strikes back. These people aren't fucking around, man. They are literally out to destroy all carburetors. I still think it's one of these things where, like, you know how the church, the Vatican has a telescope named Lucifer. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's like abbreviated, the large whatever, you know. And it's spelled out Lucifer. And it's one of these, like, oh, yeah, that's just, you know, it's just a coincidence with how we did the acronyms. Bullshit. This is one of these fucking things where they literally want to rub your face in it as hard as they possibly can. Like, oh, we're going to call ourselves. I mean, it's just, I still to this day can't fucking believe they've called themselves that.
Yeah. The one thing I kept hearing that they're talking about more and more electric vehicles, zero emissions, blah, 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 blah. And all I keep hearing is in my head is more lithium, more lithium, more lithium. And
yeah, I mean, we're going to stop
lithium production, zero emissions. I think not.
No. We're going to stop drilling for oil and natural gas fracking, and we're just going to strip mine entire fucking continents for lithium instead. That'll be so much fucking better. And this is all going on where, like, we are in an energy crisis. You got to buy an electric car, get rid of your gas car, buy an electric car. And here is Bloomberg. A tsunami of shutoffs. 20 million U.S. homes are behind on energy bills. So you can't afford to pay your energy bill right now. Go buy an electric car. We'll kick you a couple grand back if you're one of the lucky 11,000. You know, there's like I have the stat right here. How many electric vehicles do you think are sold in this country every year?
250,000.
630,000 and 11,000 people are going to get the rebate. That is fucking. This is one of these things where they're able to enrich themselves and print money and throw you a little bit of a bone like, hey, look, we're getting rid of your college debt. Hey, we're going to save the planet. When in reality, they're literally just shoving money into their pockets as quick as they can.
Yeah. It's always got to change focus. I feel like oil and petroleum products get over time cheaper and easier to produce and mine, and then we can't have that. We can't have gas being 99 cents a gallon again because then people are going to have too much money. So what do, we create some more to tell you that that's going to drive gas prices up, and then all of a sudden that's been done to death. So now what do? Oh, let's move everybody to electric vehicles.
Yeah, and I had a
buy gas.
Yeah, I had a tweet today. I was responding to the Redhead Libertarian, and she was showing how these people just flip-flop on everything. And I said, yeah, when these people turn off your energy, when they leave you in your house fucking sweating like crazy, they're going to blame you when the power turns off and say, this is your fault because you didn't support climate change when we told you to. And that's what they're going to do. They're literally going to leave us in sweat boxes and just say, hey, we told you, climate change, the planet. And these cars, I mean, they're literally all going to be hooked up to a kill switch. I mean, the government's going to literally be able to say, hey, look, you can't charge your car today. We're having brownouts, but they're already telling people that you can't charge your car. Amid heat wave, listen to this. Amid heat wave, California asked electric vehicle owners to limit charging. The New York Times.
Yeah.
Heading into one of the busiest holiday travel weekends in the United States, and just a week after approving a bold plan to ban the sale of new gasoline cars, California asked electric vehicle owners this week to limit when they plugged in to charge. It takes 12 hours to charge these fucking things. I mean, limit the time. You're not allowed to charge them in the middle of the day. I mean, this thing goes on. It's every once in a while, the New York Times can give a little bit of decent reporting, and you can actually find. They weren't the only one to write this article, but you gotta give them credit when it's due every once in a while. But of course, it's by the end, it's like, yeah, this is all good. It's for the planet. So even when they give you something decent. Something that people would actually be interested in and affects their life, they still have to flip it to like, you're scum and you need to die. Subtly, though. New York Times is very subtle about how much they hate you most of the time. All right, so let's go. We're going to go to a clip from the Tom Woods Show. This is Eric Peters. He owns Eric Peters Motors. He's going to tell us a little bit more about the car situation.
Bear in mind, too, that this isn't just California. California has become the de facto standard setter for the entire country. They have a regulatory body called CARB, the California Air Resources Board, that dictates what may or may not be sold within the state of California. You and I are probably old enough to remember when they had California cars and then 49 state cars. And for a while that worked. The car companies would be able to make minor modifications to a given model that would be then for sale in California only. And then the rest of the country would get cars that didn't have these gimps and afflictions that California had imposed. The problem is it's gotten really expensive for them to do that. So rather than make two different sets of cars for two different markets, they make a single car that complies with the California standards. So in effect, what CARB decrees winds up becoming national policy for all of us.
Booyah. How about that? That's a little bit of vindication right there. I mean, that's not anything different than we've said in our previous episodes. I just wanted to play that because this is coming from the Tom Woods Show. This isn't some Yahoo who's just talking shit like we are. These are serious people who are very, serious about these problems, and they don't fuck around. They don't dick around with conspiracy theories and things like that. And he's saying the same thing that we did. I mean, this playbook that they used on dirt bikes, they were able to force Honda, of all companies, to make different dirt bikes. What do you think? I mean, do you think they're going to have a hard time doing it with cars? Maybe a little bit harder, but they're still going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And there's been more car news. There was a big bank in Australia. Bank Australia won't finance gas cars after 2025. And this is a customer-owned bank. How many of the customers who own that bank do you think agree with that decision?
Hopefully, all of those people find another bank.
It's not a huge bank, but the problem is this is going to be precedent setting. Santa Rosa, no more new gas stations in Santa Rosa after I think it was like 2024. I didn't write the date down for some reason, and also no new gas pumps at gas stations. So when your gas station goes out and your pumps break down, you can't put new pumps in. So there's going to be no fucking gas stations in California pretty soon. This is, I think, one of my biggest oversights in the last year has been when I read and hear things like this, my initial reaction is, hey, Get the fuck out of California. You think I'm joking when I tell you these things? Like, this is serious shit. But unfortunately, like, with this CARB bullshit, we're going to have people in California stand up to this shit. We can't have them setting policy for the rest of the world. It's just going to be terrible for us. I mean, California needs to get a governor in there that can. I think the only solution to this is you got to dissolve CARB. You got to abolish the entire fucking thing and make it so difficult for them to restart that it would take, 8 years of a governor's reign to be able to change it. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so. California is basically its own country, and
we'd be better off if it was.
Yeah.
We'd be better off if it was.
They tried to kick Newsom out, right? And that didn't work.
Yeah, and I'm not a guy who is all into elections, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fixed that election. They can't have that guy losing. If any elections, like this is a guy that they've got pegged to maybe hit the White House in 8 years. They don't want this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I mean, they've got presidential aspirations for this guy. He looks like a psychopath.
No. He would never.
Dude, he's got that fucking, like, fake smile and those creepy eyes. He just looks like a demon. In a lot of ways, he looks like a fucking demon. Got
that I've drank baby's blood look.
Oh, for sure. Like Damon, son of the devil. Like, he's going to be a good-looking, charismatic guy, but he's really just going to throw you in a pit of burning fire.
And that's what I was going to ask. What do you? I wouldn't be surprised if I don't. There's no way that Biden can run again.
No, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they will run him again. I mean, you wouldn't think it's possible, but at this point, would it really surprise you if they drug his corpse up there and they're just pumping him full of Adderall? I mean, after that, performance that he gave tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if I think he could run again. He's probably their best shot, if I'm being completely honest. I don't see somebody waiting in the wind to take over. Kamala Harris, people just fucking hate her. They fucking hate her. So I don't know.
She's not trending well.
No, she's never trended well. All right. Lastly, on this one, we got two more things on this one, then we'll finish this up. Thousands of Excel customers locked out of their thermostats during energy emergency. So you remember the Excel Super Saver switch, that video that we did in the first couple weeks? Well, they used it. They locked people out during the dog days of summer. It's important to keep your home cool. But when thousands of Excel customers in Colorado tried turning down their thermostats Tuesday, they learned that they had no control over the temperatures in their own homes. They kept them at 78 or 79 degrees. I looked up what is considered extreme heat. 82 degrees is considered extreme heat and leaves you liable for heat stroke. So they kept it right below the level that is possible of killing you. That's how much they love you.
Buy a house fan.
Buy a house fan. Move that fucking hot air around. Buy a heat pump, you fucking slave. What is your problem? Yep. We told you to buy a heat pump. It's your fault you're sweating. Let's real quickly on this one finish up with you know what? We'll move on to 3. Nah, fuck it. We're going to go to Tom Woods on this. We're going to go to Tom Woods and then we'll take our break and finish up. Let's go to Tom Woods. I love it when Tom goes on a rant. This is not him at 11, but he's pretty close. He's at like 8 right here. So this is good. Here we go.
When you see something like this, the forced introduction of electric cars that leads to higher prices for average people. For example, you also see it just in energy more generally, that if they're going to try to do away with fossil fuels, that means much more expensive, much less reliable energy. Everybody knows that. And we all know that that's going to devastate the developing world too. It can't be that just happened by accident or whatever. I mean, it has to be, to me, it has to be that this is actually, for them, one of the features of it. That in the case of cars, let's remember that there have been quite a few people who, honestly, if you really were to push them, don't like the idea of everybody having a car.
Well, that's right.
You run across that on social media all the time, that we should be using public transportation. The masses should huddle together in some hideous bus or something and be carted around. Of course, our betters will drive around in their cars. But the fact that it'll become very difficult for the average person to afford a car without going into some kind of ridiculous debt arrangement, this can't just be an accidental byproduct. This is a great feature because it means there will be fewer cars for ordinary people that the elites despise.
Absolutely correct.
I'm tired of trying to find some benign explanation for the things they do and saying, well, let's assume the best on the part of these people. These people long ago forfeited the right to have the best assumed of them.
Go get them, Tom. That we could have just played that and probably skipped like half of this section, but that's why I kept it for the end of it. But he's right. These people are deindustrializers. They do not want people like us to have vehicles. When I lived in San Francisco, I lived on one side of town and I worked on the other. We're talking as the crow flies, like 1.5 miles, 2 miles, maybe 3. On the bus, we're talking 1.5 hours. And I lived in between me and my work was Chinatown. So I would get on the bus and I would sit down and the whole fucking bus would pack up as soon as we got near Chinatown. I'm talking 100 people on this fucking thing, standing room only. And half the time, one of these weird things that they do in China is when there's not room on a bus, they just sit on each other. Like they sit on each other's laps and they pile up you can look up, you think I'm kidding, but they do it. And sometimes they obviously know that we fucking despise things like this. So when they want a seat, they'll just come in and sit on you. Yeah, that's the bus. Wait for 1.5 hours to get. It was fucking wild. I spent a year on the bus there, and one night I was walking out to the end of the pier where I worked, and I was looking at my phone, and I had missed the bus, and I'd missed the train, and all that was left was the owl, and the owl took like 2 hours to get to my house. It was fucking ridiculous. And then I looked up, and I saw a taxi. And for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, I have money. I just made $400 tonight. I can spend $20 and get home in 20 minutes. And that was like one of the greatest realizations of my life. It was like, yeah, I've got money now, because this was after years of being a homeless drug addict and just being the lowest of the low, to walk out and just be like, yeah, I've got thousands of dollars in my account and $400 in my pocket. I can take a fucking cab. And then a couple weeks later, I started spending way too much money on cabs, so I bought a fucking motorcycle.
And see, but that's the way it should be. If you want to get ahead, yeah, maybe you got to start by riding that tramp bus. But if you freaking work hard and spend your money right, yeah, maybe you got to spend some money on a taxi for a little while. But then if you so choose and you want to buy a gas-burning vehicle, whatever vehicle that may be, you should have the right to. And at the same time, if you feel like you want to do good for the planet, buy whatever fucking electrical vehicle you want. If you feel like compelled to do that, then do that.
Be a slave.
Yeah, if you want to be. But if you shouldn't feel like you have the authority over people that enjoy carbureted vehicles.
And this is why I think they really love to come after motorcycles, because they know that we're passionate about it. Like, people aren't passionate about their fucking commuter car. There's a select group of people who are passionate about hot rods, but motorcycles are like a truly You have to love motorcycles to have one. You're not going to just buy one to ride around. And I love on that episode of Tom Woods and Eric Peters, he made a great fucking point that I had never thought of. Tom asked him what they're going to do with electric motorcycles. And he goes, first off, there's no such thing as an electric motorcycle. A motorcycle has an engine, a transmission, and a drivetrain. This is a moped. It's a scooter. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. That's right. I like that. I like that. And he pointed out that the Harley Livewire has been a fucking disaster.
I haven't even seen one.
They have one. They have one at our Harley dealership. It's been there for 2 years.
Yeah, when I went out there, I believe they had a few, and I was looking at them and asking them a little bit about them, but yeah, I haven't seen a single one at my work.
Yeah, the last time I was there was one there. I said, how long have you guys had this thing? And the guy was like, dude, it's been sitting here for like 2 fucking years. They might have gotten rid of the other ones, not even sold them. They might have like sent them back or pawned them. You know what I mean? Like there's probably some way that you can. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be. Maybe you can trade it with some like Long Beach or Newport Beach or something like that, where people are actually gonna, like a rental place on Newport Beach or something like that. That's where you would want one of those things. Some asshole who wants to rent a bike for the weekend and wants to go wing around town.
I'll bet the batteries on that bike is dead if it's been
yeah. No shit, right? I bet those batteries don't last worth a shit on those fucking things. All right, let's go into the last part of this episode. This is where it really fucking starts to get good. That last part, that was just filling us full of bullshit. Now's where the propaganda really starts to fall apart. Number 3, faster tax returns. Oh boy, that's a good thing. The most immediate benefit for American families, according to experts, faster tax returns and more responsive IRS agents. Thanks to $80 billion in additional funding to the IRS over 10 years. And another, I think it's 50,000 agents or something like that who are just dying to crack into your crypto portfolio. So here we go. Folks will get their phone calls returned a lot quicker. Holgood said. That's what we're gonna get, folks. That sounds like an Obama thing. What are we gonna get for this tax bill? Well, folks are gonna get their phone calls returned a lot quicker. It's like, oh, yay! This is the red meat that they're throwing to their base at this point. Hey, we're gonna call you back.
Yeah, you get your money.
And for individuals still waiting for their 21 or 22 tax returns to be processed, that's likely to happen a lot faster too. I love how he had to qualify it twice. Likely, faster.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And they're all going to be issued blocked, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All the interns get blocked.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Now down to number 4. It'll take a few years, but Medicare recipients will eventually see lower prices on some prescriptions. Eventually, on some. Oh, the new legislation allows Medicare to negotiate prices with pharmaceutical companies, beginning with 10 prescription drugs in 2026 and 20 by 2029. Oh my God!
Well, it's amazing.
10 medications? I take 10 medications myself.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Lower prices on other items, maybe eventually. That's number 5. Economists say it's unlikely that Inflation Reduction Act will reduce inflation, but at least anytime soon. There's a chance the legislation could eventually tamp down prices by about 0.1 percentage points in about 5 years. So this is the propaganda that we're getting at this. This is the Washington Post. This isn't the New York Post. This is, primetime Progressive Central, Jeff Bezos' newspaper. They're not even able to spin this. That's how fucking horrible this thing is going to be for people.
Yeah, what's scary is how in your face it is. They're literally telling you how bad it's going to be.
Yeah.
And they don't even care, and then people don't even care. They don't care. No. They just are towing the party line or whatever.
Orange man bad.
They can't hear how bad they're going to get fucked.
Orange man bad, Inflation Act good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. It seems so fucking simplistic, but I really think that's what it is. Orange man bad, therefore, Inflation Reduction Act is good. I think you can like insert that to many different things. Orange man bad, therefore raiding his house with, hardly any, if any, pretenses is good. And you can just keep going on and on and on. Orange man bad, so saving the planet is good. I mean, next week we're going to get into all this bullshit that they're going nuclear power. Oh my God, the Russians are going to explode. They're going to blow the nuclear power plant. It's going to destroy everything, kill the planet. Load of bullshit is what that is. All right, the last thing we'll do on this Medicare thing is just to explain a little bit why Medicare negotiating prices is not good. That means price controls, and price controls are always fucking bad. So this is an article. I don't remember where it's from. I didn't write it down. Medicare price controls, the wrong prescription. Stuart Butler. The first problem is that it's absurd to suggest that using price controls to hold down costs will not reduce quality. A vast literature on price controls shows otherwise and underscores simple economics. When the government forces someone to charge less, that person, a landlord or a doctor, that person will react by providing less. That's what they do. This is what's happening with energy. When you have intermittent energy and it costs more to provide some natural gas from the state across the way, we're just going to do a brownout instead. We'll just do a blackout. And I don't know if you remember my bar analogy with this. Yeah. If you came into my bar on Super Bowl Sunday and I said, hey, I stand up at halftime and I go, hey, listen, everybody, a lot more people showed up today than we expected. It's the most we've ever had on this day. We're running out of beer. I can send somebody to Costco to go buy beer, but since it's Super Bowl Sunday, I have to pay somebody extra, and therefore I'm going to have to start charging more for beer. I can still serve you the beer. We can still go get you the beer, but you're going to have to pay $1 extra for it. At that point, you have a choice. You can say, okay, I will pay the extra for the beer, or you can say, fuck you. How could you not anticipate having more people on a Super Bowl Sunday, you fucking morons? I'm taking my business elsewhere. But in this analogy, there's no other bar. The only bar is my bar. And if you saw the hole in this logic and say, well, this is stupid. I want to go open my own bar and fill the hole that these idiots can't. You can't do that because the government won't let you, because they're a government-controlled monopoly. This is what they're going to do. This is, how they roll with Medicare for all. This is, you're going to start, you need to see a doctor? Okay, we'll get to you in a couple months. This is how it works over in Europe. When you bust your knee up, a lot of people, like fighters, have busted their knees up in Europe and had to wait like months to get into a doctor to have reconstructive surgery. Happens all the time. And then they get a shit doctor.
Sounds like the way the VA's operated for decades, right?
I think so, yeah. It sounds about right. I don't know a ton about the VA, but I mean, my medical care, I've had to fight tooth and nail for every doctor, everything I have to fight for. And luckily, I didn't take this shit lying down, and I fought hard, and I got everything that I asked for. But that's not typically the case. So, Nolan, where can the people find you? What do you got going on? You haven't posted anything on social media in like 3 fucking months.
I just posted something last night, a little picture of my my motorcycle, nice. my build back better plan.
Nice. Nice. I didn't see that one.
At 5150 Nolan on Instagram. That's,
right now.
My only socials right now. Check it out.
Are you doing a side work on motorcycles, or are you just working at the shop right now?
Just personal projects right now.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Right on.
But yeah, working at the shop and working on getting the Gixxer back on the road.
Sounds good. Well, keep us updated on the progress. Show the people what's going on. Let everybody know that they can find you here. All right. I am at Hard Radio Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I suck at Twitter, but I'm still trying to hammer it out. Go, try and give me a follow or something. I don't know. Do something, you fucking assholes. We're on YouTube. If you're listening to this, we're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. Subscribe. Do all that shit. Make the show bigger. Tell some people about it. We're on Podcasting 2.0 apps. You can go to like Podfriend and Curiocaster, and if at some point you wanted to scream at us because we did something wrong, you can. Because over here, I've got a button for this. You ready?
It's fast and loose.
Oh, I didn't turn the sound up. Here we go. Ready?
It's fast and loose, and accidents happen.
Like Alec Baldwin says, it's fast and loose, and accidents happen. But if you wanted to scream at us, you can. You can send us a couple bucks at the exact time that you want to scream at us at. The podcast app lets you do that. You can find us on newpodcastingapps.com. Aside from that, we've got a newsletter, toohardfortheradio.substack.com. It comes out every week after the podcast. It's got stuff in it that we don't cover on the podcast. Maybe social media stuff, maybe pointing out some stories. But it'll always have something interesting, and you'll always know when and where to find the podcast. We'll let people know if I'm doing another podcast. If Nolan gets booked on a podcast, we'll let you know on there. All right, last story of the night. Well, it's kind of a two-part story. One of them is going to lead into the other. This one's a bit old because, like I said, I've been planning this for a long time. So things have happened. Things change. So let's go to Sam Harris on a podcast. Here we go.
I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing.
Sicko.
First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if Joe, whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's
firefly to the sun.
It doesn't even stack up against Trump University.
Oh my God, he ripped
Trump
some people
University
off.
As a story,
it's a fake university.
Is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop.
There's literally pedophilia in there.
That doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely. Right. But I think it was
the
warranted.
Mask drops.
Right. And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
that particular piece.
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggled with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
Fuck the kids in the basement.
Fuck the kids in the basement, they say.
You're saying you are content.
Orange Man bad.
With a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything
monster, the war criminal.
Being democratically
it's not but there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. If it's like if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth. And we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy?
So Sam Harris, Liz Cheney, and Hunter Biden go into a bunker and they figure out how to deflect we got to deflect the asteroid into Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, man.
How fucked up is that? Here, I've got another button for that. You ready?
There's no free lunch.
Oh, that's not it. Damn it.
You don't have a lucky crack pipe?
Oh, of course he's got a lucky crack pipe. Come on. Of course he's got a lucky crack pipe. I'm getting wild with the buttons tonight. But I mean, how fucking wild is that? And then we find out this week, I didn't clip it out because everybody's seen it already, and you know we've done enough videos. But Mark Zuckerberg went on Joe Rogan and said that the FBI gave them a heads up right before the thing came out, saying, "Hey, we're going to have some Russian information, disinformation." And he says to Rogan, "Yep, it fit the profile, so we had to knock it down." And Rogan goes, "Well, how many people didn't see it?" And he goes, "Oh, it was significant." You know, he's this pale white fucking android who's probably been designed to kill all people, standing there. "Oh, yeah, it was significant." Just wild. And Sam Harris, are you familiar with Sam Harris at all?
Not really.
He's a godless heathen. He's a godless heathen. He's one of these new age atheist types, like militant atheists who's just ready to fucking call you the worst names in the book and the stupidest people on the planet if you believe in anything greater than yourself. I mean, he wrote a book called like The End of Faith. I mean, what kind of how arrogant is that to write a book about how you don't need religion and you can use my ways of science to structure your life. He wrote another one called The Moral Landscape, like how to structure your life without religion or some shit like that. So just a complete arrogant fucking prick this guy is. So I've got a quote here from Sam Harris, the godless heathen. Here we go. "Either God can do nothing to stop catastrophes like this, or he doesn't care to, or he doesn't exist. God is either impotent, evil, or imaginary. Take your pick and choose wisely. The only sense to make of tragedies like this is that a terrible things happen to perfectly innocent people." I don't know what he was speaking about, but I mean, what an arrogant prick. God is either impotent, evil, or imaginary. Oh, God. It makes you want to like throw up in your mouth a little bit when you hear that. Ugh, my God. But the scientists did catch a little bit of a head scratcher this week. Or I guess it wasn't this week. This was August 20th. So it was a couple weeks ago now. You're familiar with the James Webb Space Telescope, right? We've talked about this. It's the big telescope out in the middle of the solar system. May or may not be a video game. So they had some puzzling data come in this week. I think I even sent you a picture of it. That picture of Jupiter that they took. Incredible picture, or that's not actually. It's an infrared telescope, so it's not actually showing like visual images. So what they do is they take these images and then they assign colors to them in a computer. So it's a computerized generation of what it would look like if we could see an infrared. That's the closest way I can come to describing it. So they took some deep space pictures recently. So here is from, I don't know what publication. I think this was Scientific American or something like that. "The Big Bang Theory has been debunked, ? Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good for people like Sam Harris. Science appreciators around the world have been pleased with the new images being produced by the James Webb Space Telescope. This new highly advanced telescope has showcased images of the stairways that no one has ever seen before. While the public has been transfixed by how many new galaxies, stars, and more have been shown, it has caused a panic among astronomers and cosmologist communities. One of the growing concerns for these new images is that it has begun to produce papers that might be indirectly stating that the Big Bang Theory has been debunked, which would be massively heartbreaking for many people. Many scientists have been studying these new images and determining evidence that has stood for many years. The Big Bang Theory essentially states that the universe began some 14 billion years ago in an incredibly hot and dense state that has been expanding ever since. However, the characteristics of years ago in the incredibly However, the characteristics of the galaxies that are furthest away should be huge and contain a redshift to their light. What the James Webb Space Telescope has discovered is that those galaxies are the complete opposite. An astronomer at the University of Kansas, Lawrence Allison Patrick, spoke about the new evidence with great panic. According to Patrick, right now I'm finding myself lying awake at 3 a.m. and wondering if everything I've done is wrong. The new evidence would debunk the Big Bang Theory in a big way, as the initial idea is the universe exploded into existence and began to expand. In fact, it should be ever expanding, but in the new galaxies found, it said that older, the Big Bang, and said, where is this fucking sentence? Here we go. More importantly, the religious community that has believed that a singular God created the universe and accompanying stars would have much better ground to stand on. So there you go, Sam Harris. Go fuck yourself. All right, Nolan, what do you think? Should we call it a night?
Yeah, I think we did pretty all right.
I think we did it. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.